Yeah, it definitely has more push than the 2-liter. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2022 Honda Civic EX, but more importantly, this car does have the 1.5-liter turbocharged engine, so we can finally go over that powertrain in the new Civic. First and foremost though, a huge shout out and thank you to Stockton 12 Honda here in Utah for giving me some time with this Civic. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get into the video. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 1.5-liter 4-cylinder that goes through a CVT automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 33 around town and then 42 on the highway, with power outputs being 180 horsepower and then 177 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the Civic with the EX package. So first off, I absolutely love this white paint. It is beautiful, and you can see the metallic flake there in the sunlight, just looks perfect. And I feel like it's a nice color with the Civic because coming down to the lights, we've got these LED accent lights, and then you do have the LED reflector lights as well. But notice this whole area is kind of like darkened, and then notice that they still kind of use like black plastic in that area. You've got the regular Honda logo, but I love the contrast between the white and then the darker regions right here, and then down below with the grill, and then here on the side as well. I think it just looks really nice. Kind of has that stormtrooper type look to it. I mean, especially from that angle, it's really good looking though. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 15mm tires wrapped around 17-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then as for the design on the wheels, I think they did a really good job. So basically what they did here is you have like a black wheel, and then you've got the silver inserts here that go towards the middle, and then they go a little bit on the outside. I think overall it looks really good. It kind of gives it this floating type design. And then aside from that, I like the blacked out element here on the side of the headlight. You can see from the side angle, and then here with the front. And then notice at the bottom of the mirror, that's also blacked out. And yeah, other than that, here is your full side view. Doo-doo-doo. Now let's pop here into the trunk area of the Civic EX. So first off, notice that we've got these latches here to fold down the seats. Definitely a nice piece of equipment to have. And then other than that, storage space here is really good. It's actually very similar to the previous generation sedan, if you guys are wondering from a size comparison. And then there is the spare tire, and well, see ya. Let's finish things up here in the rear of the EX. So first off, notice that all we have is a Civic badge and a Honda badge. There's no badge for the trim package itself. And you guys know I'm a huge fan of the new taillights. I think they look really nice. And then again, I mentioned this in my other Civic videos with this new body style. It kind of looks like an Audi from the back end. It looks like the Accord from the front kind of mixed with the Super Impreza, and then the back end kind of looks like an Audi. And overall, it actually works out really well from a design standpoint. So here's the door panel in the back. You've got cloth trim right here. You're gonna rest your arm. And then I love the door handles here in the new Civic. And then here are the seats in the back. So again, we've got these full cloth seats here for the EX package. And then you guys can see everything else here in the back. Not gonna spend too much time because I already popped back there for the other review, so yeah. Now here's the door panel in the front. Again, we've got that same cool door handle, and then we've got black trim right here at the top of the door panel, and then cloth trim with stitching all across. We've got all of our window controls and then the mirror adjustments. That's for the trunk release. And then here are the seats. Well, we've got the plastic wrapping on part of the seat, but you guys can see we've got full cloth seats here with the stitching, nice bolstering. They are manually adjustable. And then here's the pedal layout just down below. This is for the safety tech. That's for the stability control. The steering wheel is manually adjustable, and there's one more look before we pop in. So here is the steering wheel. We've got a leather wrapped steering wheel, and then you've got contrasted stitching on the center portion. We've got our lane keep assist with the cruise control that does have the follow function. And then notice that you've got the voice command, home button control, volume controls, all that fun stuff. And then we've got the light / turn signal stalk, winch wiper stalk on the other side, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster. First off, I love the new digital look. The old one still was a really good looking gauge cluster, but this is also cool looking. Yes, we still have the driver attention. Notice there's all these different menus you can scroll through to give you different bits of information, like we can go to the fuel range. And I love how it does a little flip thing when you change the menu. I don't know, I think that that's a pretty cool graphic design. And then aside from that, we do have the Econ mode, which you can go into, which basically that is going to be your good fuel economy mode. And then we also have our S mode, which is kind of like your sport mode. It's just below drive. And then you even do have a low range too. So it's quite a bit. Now here's our center infotainment system. First off, if we pop it into reverse, here's the backup camera, and we've got a couple different viewpoints which we can go through here with the new Civic. Now aside from the backup camera, this is the new infotainment system. Response time on this screen is really good. It's slightly better than the previous generation Civic in terms of response time, and then usability, I feel like it's just as easy to use. And again, this kind of just doesn't look as sporty as the previous Civic, which isn't a bad thing. This just looks like I don't know how to explain, like more refined, I guess is a better way to put it for the infotainment system. And then notice that we've got a bunch of analog controls there at the bottom, and well, that's all. Now I've got the vents here in the new Civic. You guys know I'm a huge fan of the design and how it goes all the way across the dash, and then also the actuation on this is just absolutely perfect. Hazard lights right there in the center. We do have a dual zone climate and heated seats. Really good, especially for kind of like more of an entry-level package. And then we do have a 12 volts right down here. We've got some extra storage space with the USB. Here's the shifter for that CVT, and then again, like I said, there's an S and then there's an L mode as well. That's kind of like your sporty driving mode, and then again, that's like the low range. You've got your econ mode, auto stop, start, parking brake, brake hold, couple cup holders. I really like this trim here in the center. Then we've got the center console, definitely nice. And then finishing things off, coming over to the glove box. Pretty normal setup, and then I guess we will pop up to the top, which, yes, we've got a sunroof. And then there's the controls for the sunroof, lighter colored headliner, and well, that's all. Now here's a window sticker for the 2022 Civic. You guys can see all of the equipment. Feel free to freeze the frame if you want to see all the standard equipment that comes with this car. You can see the base MSRP before options are added. You can see the white paint color is $395. Definitely think it's money well spent. But total MSRP, $26,090. Wait for it. Wait for it. Let's take her out and see how she drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off here in the 2022 Civic. So first off, visibility of the hood, you can see is really good. There's through both the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring. And then throughout the rest of the rear, and well, whoops, let's set off. We are setting off here in the 2022 Civic with the 1.5 liter turbo. This is going to be a partial review of the Civic, but mostly of this engine, whether or not you should get this over the naturally aspirated 2 liter. So first off, let's talk about stuff with the Civic. So in terms of the ride quality, it's actually really smooth. This new generation Civic definitely has this nice luxury car-esque feel to it. I haven't posted the video actually yet, but in my comparison video with the old versus the new, I talk about how the old one feels a little bit sportier, whereas this one feels kind of just more refined. Like this feels more of like a luxury daily driver, whereas the previous generation Civic feels more like a sporty daily driver, if that makes sense. But aside from that, seats are really comfortable, even with these, you know, again, quote-unquote base model cloth seats. They hold you in place really well, and they're really supportive at the same time. They're just a really comfortable seat to be in. And then I already mentioned visibility, but it's definitely a huge plus here in the Civic. I feel like visibility with both of them is pretty good. With this new one, it's almost like slightly better, but they're pretty similar from a visibility standpoint. Let's see the low-end torque. Ooh, yeah. I already like this engine a lot more, even though I haven't gotten on it. The low-end torque that you get with this is so much better than the 2 liter. Yeah, it seems like it's just so much more willing compared to the 2 liter, so definitely a huge plus on that. And then in terms of the steering with the new Civic is very light, but it's actually pretty direct. You don't get as much feedback as you do in the previous generation, but it is a little bit, it feels like it's almost a little bit more direct in terms of your inputs. So it just feels a little bit different. But overall, really good steering rack. I mean, compared to like any other car in this segment, it has a really good steering rack. And we'll see how the brakes are coming up to this. Yeah, brakes are good. And before I cut off this clip, pink Cadillac XT6. That is interesting. So I popped it over into the S mode, and yeah, it definitely has more push than the 2 liter. I definitely can feel that. And again, I'm at about 40, well, yeah, this area here is about 4,500 elevation, if I can remember. Oh my goodness, fire me because I can't talk. So the turbocharged engine definitely feels better at this higher elevation. Yeah, just so much more torque. It feels like it keeps going. And yeah, I just feel like it's the route to go. And on top of that, the fuel economy difference really isn't all that much. I think actually this gets better fuel economy than the 2-liter. And so I don't see why there's a point to getting the 2-liter, right? I understand the engine's a little bit less expensive than this 1.5-liter. I get that. But at the same time, the Civic that I first reviewed, which was a Sport, which felt pretty similar interior-wise to this, looked a little bit different on the outside. That one was about $24,000. This is $26,000. So for $2,000 extra dollars, getting, you know, the power and the acceleration you get with this engine, I definitely think it's worth it. This is my preferred engine with the new Civic. The 2-liter is okay. This engine is great. It feels like this is just what the car should come with. And so I recommend go for the 1.5-liter. It's great. It's smooth with the acceleration, tons of torque. It feels right. It feels like this is the proper powertrain for the Civic. But aside from that, so far, out of the Civics I've reviewed with this new body style, I really like this new generation. It's definitely taken a second for the styling to grow on me because I'm a little bit more on the immature side, right? I like the crazy styling of the previous generation, but now the styling's kind of growing on me and I really like the driving dynamics of this. This is such a good daily driver. This is probably, now I wouldn't say probably, this in this segment, this is the best daily driver you can buy right now. And that's going to sum things up for our video on this 2022 Honda Civic with the 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to Stockton 12 Honda here in Utah for giving me some time with the Civic. Check out their inventory link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.